Violetta Skittidi is a lawyer working across corporate and private client matters. While studying for her legal bar exam, she co-founded and launched Formulaw, a legal tech startup validated by Deloitte, Northeastern University, and recognized by Microsoft Azure, giving her a rare perspective on law from both sides of the founder-lawyer relationship. Violetta, welcome to the Future Makers podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure too. I want to start with a little bit of a reflective question. So Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote that the life of the law has not been logic, it has been experience. What drew you to law at the beginning?
It's actually like a bit of an unconventional story. I studied economics, philosophy, and politics for my bachelor's degree. I never really had the intention of going into law. It was kind of at the spur of the moment, if you can describe it that way. I was writing my thesis on art auction theory. And while studying and researching the topic, I tried to do some courses which I did at Sotheby's auction house. And one of the modules at that, during that time, was art law. I got very, very interested and intrigued in the background of it because it touched a few topics and matters like provenance, inheritance, like crime, fraud. So I genuinely was so fascinated by how many legal points and aspects art law touched. And all those seemed super interesting to me. So I was like, you know what, I would love to get involved in that one day and maybe I should study law. And once I started looking more into it and reading more about it, I got more interested into it. And I decided, you know what, like I'm done with uni now in a couple of months. So let's just do a GDL, which was the graduate diploma in law. That's what I did. But while studying the GDL, the pandemic started in the middle of it. And that's when a lot of the legal industry's flaws started showing because of its lack in digitization and innovation. And while also doing a lot of internships in-house and in private practice, I realized that the way lawyers work is very disappointing. It's just very manual, and like there's a lot of places where the law could improve with technology. And that's what we started to kind of get into the crux of the matter, which is how can innovation kind of change and improve law for the better for in-house legal teams and also companies that don't have like a legal team.
You mentioned that there was a lot of gaps within in the legal sector that you were witnessing. And this is in London, correct? Or the UK?
Yeah, London.
And their problem was that they were not digitizing certain aspects or certain tasks, even though you could see.
I think everything in legal at that time was, aside from just Outlook, emails, maybe Slack, like Teams, there wasn't much digitization and innovation in it. So,
is that how you kind of envisioned your legal profession to be?
No,
or
never.
Did you come in with a different
I wanted to stay in London, train as a lawyer, qualify as a lawyer in London. That was the initial motivation and goal, to be a corporate lawyer in London. And actually, one of the other reasons why I decided to start my own project in legal tech at the time was because I wanted to, in a way, differentiate myself from all the other candidates in such a competitive landscape, which is in London. It is the most competitive legal landscapes in the world. Like not even New York comes close. Like I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it is. It is like the legal hub of the world.
So let's talk about your projects. Right now, it's still at the project stage. How did you go about choosing your founder? Was it just happenstance, or were you a bit more selective? Or
Honestly,
what was the process like?
We were studying together
Mm-hmm.
at university, and we became friends. And at the time, it was just like we were applying for training contracts, and we we're like, how do we differentiate ourselves from this like mass of people applying? And we were like, okay, let's start a society at our university, like which we did. It was called the Edict, and we just wanted to kind of bring more opportunities to students for their career. Like we wanted to reach out to different law firms around the world and ask them if they wanted like more interns, for example, so that so students would have a better CV to apply to training contracts later on. And then that kind of wasn't enough for us. We wanted to do something more meaningful because that's something that we were always discussing about how like the pandemic really showed how the legal profession is suffering right now, that with online meetings, like most of the time the legal profession is a very personal affair. You come in, you speak to the lawyer, the phone call isn't that personal. You have to go into a conference, you have to speak, and then the lack of digitization kind of showed like all the flaws in the legal profession. And it was like the fintech industry already progressed significantly at the time. What's happening with the legal profession? Why is it still so behind? Why are there so many issues? Like why are people still drafting contracts manually when it can be done faster with technology? Like there was just a lot of issues in it. Like why do I need to come physically to sign a document? And even though DocuSign was already kind of rising in popularity, there's a lot of country, let's say specifically Cyprus, that did not, and still to this day does not really want to recognize electronic signatures. So there's like a lot of gaps in the market that we were seeing, and we were like, well, someone needs to finally address these gaps in the market.
And so Formulaw was born. Can you tell me what the initial idea was and its mission?
Yeah, it was a very different idea. So coming back to the lack of digitization in the industry, we figured out that most people, like the average customer of a law firm, like you and I, for example, well, I'm a lawyer, but how would you choose your legal advisor or the law firm you would go to? Word of mouth, most probably, right? But that might not be the best choice in terms of like what you want. So we wanted to create like a marketplace to connect the client to the law firm that they choose based on their preferences, based on their language, their jurisdiction, their matter. So if it's like employment law, or if it's real estate, something in real estate, or like a shareholders agreement, and based on their price range, because a lot of people cannot afford legal services, like the access to justice is not there still to this day. So we wanted to do something to bridge that like bridge between the client and the law firm. It's something that I always think about, and I think it's what I began with. And still to this day, I don't really see the access to justice being closed.
No.
Yeah.
At what point did Formulaw move from being a project into an actual product? And what was the thinking behind the I don't even want to say the courage. Where did you get the courage to take that initial step of, where actually let's go into business. Let's actually see if we can make, a career out of this.
Honestly, I don't know how I got the courage. I never thought of it becoming a company. It was just a passion project. It was something that myself and my co-founder, just like we became obsessed with the problem, and we were thinking, this actually is super fascinating, and if we can help someone get legal advice better, then why not? Like, this is important. This is something that is not addressed or talked about enough in the industry and in the market in general. And we built a website for the marketplace. Then we stumbled upon a bigger problem, which was that the law firm did not want to be part of the marketplace because they did not want to disclose their prices. As you know, law firms mostly bill by the hour, and we wanted to make prices more transparent. We wanted to give a fixed price to the client so that they could decide ahead if they wanted to proceed or not. But the law firms were like, no, we don't really want that. We don't operate that way. So not many law firms wanted to be onboarded on the website. So we were like, it's kind of like we are moving faster than where the industry is, than the industry. And the industry is not ready for this yet. So we kind of had to pivot, and we tried to pivot like a couple of times. I met this guy who used to work at an accelerator before, and he was really nice, and he was like, you guys are onto something, like let's think about it. So he became our mentor and advisor, and he really helped us. I think we pivoted, like we had like 50 different ideas, and we would always pitch it to him, and he was like, no, like this doesn't really work. Like, don't think about what the market wants, think about what it needs. And that's something that we were struggling with. And then we came to the idea of eventually creating a platform for contracts from start until post execution, which is dispute resolution. So founders or small companies could handle their contractual affairs on one platform only. That was what we wanted to build and what we started building.
Along the journey, you've had a lot of what would look from the outset, a lot of like successes and a lot of awards. You pitched at Deloitte Accelerator. You received a grant for Northeastern University. You were recognized by Microsoft Azure. You won the Deloitte Fast 50. You spoke at the United Nations STI conference.
That's crazy.
And then you also got nominated for the Madame Figaro Award.
Yeah.
If somebody was just like following your social media pages, they would think, oh my goodness, they are going far. Like everything is hunky-dory, flowers all around.
Definitely.
What was the startup journey actually like?
Well, obviously very rocky.
Yeah.
I mean, when I moved to Cyprus from London, I didn't know what would happen of Formulaw. I was just like, you know what, we're going to try to build it. We're going to try get fundraising and see if we can pull it off. And I saw that Deloitte had Aris, which is their accelerator in Cyprus. And I was like, you know what, let's just apply because we have nothing to lose. And we can get access to like mentors, which is something that is like very important. And if you're a first-time founder and you don't have experience in it, it's something that we're like, okay, let's just do it. We applied, and we had a lawyer from Deloitte during my pitch who really liked the idea, and she supported the team in approving our idea to get into the accelerator. And I think that kind of name behind us, Deloitte, really kind of gave us the push. and the motivation and just like the recognition when we were pitching for funding. And it was kind of like the start of our success journey, where it was. So,
can you talk about like the culture of the legal tech industry in Cyprus, but also kind of beyond? Because obviously you came from London, so you kind of have an insight into the UK's culture. And I guess just globally, what was it like? Were there a lot of products coming out? Were there a lot of companies interested in legal tech?
You mean companies interested in legal tech,
in bringing them into their workflows?
Okay. Well, since we were building in Cyprus, and because we were a small team of like 3, it was myself, my co-founder, our lead developer, and we also had like a community manager who was an intern, and then we kind of promoted him. And we had an intern helping us with like the social media stuff. Because we were such a small team and I was mostly like on the operations and the sales side, I started like only approaching law firms and companies in Cyprus because I thought, you know what, the legal profession is very closed community. You need to approach them. You need to establish trust with them, especially with legal technology, which is so new and it's trying to disrupt the way that they're doing business now and the way that they're operating now. And it's something that was one of the biggest challenges ever. A bigger challenge than building or ideating for sure. A lot of law firms and lawyers were saying that they were very interested, that they were very fascinated by the technology, by the demos that we were showing them. But when it came to making that decision to onboard us, it was a different story. I don't know. I believe now it's because the decision makers aren't the lawyers themselves. It's like the partner and then the IT team. They also need to be more aware of the risks. And even though our platform was secure, it was just something that they were maybe scared of. Maybe they just didn't have the capacity to learn and try to learn from it. So yeah. But I didn't answer your question fully. But when it comes to other markets, like more international markets and bigger markets like in the UK and in the States, there were already a lot of legal tech companies being established. But at the same time, like one of the biggest successful companies, Harvey, in the industry, crazy. But even when the founder was starting his journey in the market, he was not getting any like answers, like any positive feedback from any law firms. And he said that it was only when he finally like had a meeting with one of the biggest like top law firms in the world, Allen and Overy, and they liked his idea. And as soon as they were like, okay, we want you, and they published it that they were collaborating and they would have Harvey in their legal. Only after that, everyone went crazy, because if the biggest law firm, one of the biggest law firms in the world has Harvey, we want it as well. It's like that. Unfortunately, that's how it is in legal. It's like the fear of missing out. If one successful big law firm has something, they want it as well.
You recently announced that you shut down Formulaw. If you were going to go on that journey again or restart that whole journey, what would you have done? What would you do differently?
Well, definitely think about the distribution aspect more carefully, like strategize on that more carefully. We were more obsessed about how the product would look and how lawyers would use it more than actually why would the law firm or the company, the small company, use it? Like, why would they buy it? Like, what's the distribution network and route to getting them to buy it. Like that's the most important thing, like because your product itself is always going to change based on what they need. But if you don't have a way to sell it, you don't have a distribution network, then your company will die. Like that's what almost happened to Harvey. That's what definitely happened to us, because we didn't have the capacity to, like, we stayed till very last moment to think about it. And we were a very small team, so we were kind of like strapped on that side of the resources. So if I would start again, I would definitely maybe like hire or partner with someone who has more experience in getting to market and the distribution aspect of it.
How has this startup journey, do you think, changed the way you look at law and the way you go about your legal career?
I mean, I'm definitely still very involved and very interested in innovation and access to justice. But I won't lie and tell you that I'm very thrilled about the profession after this experience. Actually, being in legal tech and being a woman in legal tech and in such a traditional industry, and in Cyprus especially, where most things happen in a way like in a community. I don't know if I explained properly. But everyone knows each other. Everyone kind of knows that like there's one way to do things. So it was a very big struggle for me to change the way people think. And I tried, but I didn't succeed because it takes a really, really long time. And it did make me hate the profession, if I'm honest, because it was very disappointing that I was trying to do something to help the legal industry and people were just like brushing me off or just like closing the door on my face, like ignoring me. It was hard, but we move on.
You move on.
It's something that the market or the industry here is not ready for. But in my opinion, they will be forced to accept it because AI is changing how everything is being done, like how all business is done. Everyone wants faster services, cheaper services, and AI helps you do that. So if you don't implement it in your workflows or your day-to-day operations, you're the one who's going to miss out, not the customer, because the client is going to find a solution that is suitable for him or her, like that is faster, that explains things in a better way than a lawyer, because lawyers tend to use a language that founders are like unfamiliar with or are scared of. So if they think that AI is going to help them, then they will go to AI or they will go to a law firm that uses AI. So they will have to accept it at one point.
I kind of want to discuss, obviously a lot of legal professionals are approaching technology with a lot of mistrust.
Yeah.
Which, you can understand, because where the technology is, you shouldn't just give yourself fully to it. So where is the balance between adapting to it, but also being cautious? And I guess especially for the legal space, where you are handling a lot of sensitive data, where's the confidential data? Where do you find the balance, and how do you think people can find that balance?
Yeah, it's a very important question. It's something that the client is concerned about, and something that the lawyer is concerned about because of their professional liability. Like they don't want to expose themselves to that risk if AI hallucinates or does something like messes up. So I believe that AI is a powerful tool that can be used in moderation. It's something that, for example, can be used to draft or review a document to speed up time and maybe spot something that the lawyer would not have otherwise. But when it comes to the final decision maker or judgment, it needs to be from the lawyer. Like, so there needs to be that balance struck. And yeah, I think it's a no-brainer that there needs to be that balance.
You've called the legal tech sector a consolidation rather than a bubble. What do you mean by that?
Well, actually, there are like both theories are interesting and are right. But for example, if you think about how the legal tech market started, and actually I'll give you an example of a statistic that I found. Since 2020 until 2023, 983 companies around that have started and shut down. So it's a market that has, because of this trust-based element and factor, there's if you also see the funding landscape, I think in Q1 of 2026, I think there's been around $2 billion in funding in the legal tech industry.
Oh, wow.
But 60% of it only went to 3 companies, which is Harvey, Legora, and Relativity. And those 3 companies are B2B. They are not B2C. I believe, yeah, definitely. So it is going towards consolidation because a lot of companies are starting in legal tech they're shutting down because they can't sustain themselves. They can't raise any more funding. I mean, there's a lot of B2C companies, but they get like only a fraction of the funding that B2B companies get. And I do believe it's a consolidation because, as you see, and with the fundraising, only like 3 companies are repeatedly getting funding and getting all the big tickets. But on the other hand, like it could be argued that isn't a bubble because of how many companies in AI are like literally spurring every other second. Like every day I see like an AI company coming to light. Like it's crazy. And there's a lot of talk in the market that it is an AI bubble and like it's going to burst and then the tokens are going to be more expensive and then that's going to cause a lot of companies to shut down. So
it does feel like there are a lot of companies coming out that just look all the same, just with different brand names. So if the application layer is becoming easier to replicate, especially across, even across countries and across different states, what do you think the real moat is now in legal tech?
Yeah, definitely. Like the technology element is no longer the moat or the advantage. And especially in the legal tech industry, this has been kind of exposed by one lawyer, one ex-Latham & Watkins lawyer, which is like a big American law firm. He decided to create the copy of Legora and Harvey. And he did it by himself. He didn't need a tech team. He just vibe coded the whole thing by himself. And I tried it and it works. Like it works. It's crazy. Like it's really good. Like I asked it to draft a couple of documents. I asked it to review a couple of dummy documents that I created myself and redline them and like give comments and suggestions and whatever. It's like crazy. I mean, all of these big companies are, at the end of the day, they're rappers. They're ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini rappers. So that's no longer the moat. The technology is no longer the moat. The moat is distribution. Like it's how do you get the clients. So I think that's what's going to happen, like in the end.
Knowing all this and knowing, your own startup journey, would you want to create another product or go into the startup journey again in the legal tech sector?
I think I'm definitely interested in it because I still think that access to justice has not been solved, and that's something that I've always strived towards from the beginning. And it's something that we couldn't realize ourselves through Formulaw because we couldn't get the funding and we ran out of runway. But now that the technology layer is easier to kind of replicate, and it's easier for someone to build a product by himself or herself, I would definitely do it if it makes sense. But this time, obviously, after my experience with Formulaw, I would do it a lot more carefully, and I would do it with like a proper team that would support me in the journey. So I'm definitely like open to it, and I am getting like quite a few offers from other like startups in legal tech, which is really exciting. But it's definitely I'm definitely a lot more cautious now than I was, because it's also like heartbreaking when something doesn't like kick off and doesn't kind of like how do you say it? Your vision doesn't become a reality, and you have to like stop it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Before we go into the final questions, I wanted to ask about your experience as a female founder, especially in the legal tech sector. Did you ever feel that you were at an advantage maybe, or even at a disadvantage because of your gender, or did it never come into play?
No, definitely. Like, I think definitely whenever I would go and pitch my idea to an investor or to a lawyer when we were selling, when I would come into the room with my co-founder, who's a guy, it would be like I would feel the energy in the room more different, and they were more willing to discuss more about it. But if it was just me, I felt more like not friction, but like hesitation maybe from it. Yeah, and I wouldn't say I'm like less capable than my co-founder, because I'm more of like I'm the lawyer and he's the tech side of it. So I don't know. It definitely, everyone tries to say that they treat women and men equally, but it's definitely not the case. And maybe in Cyprus, because the industry is more traditional, maybe that's something still like ingrained in the culture.
Coming towards the end, for founders listening to this conversation, what would you want them to ask more of their lawyers?
Like, maybe ask the lawyers, what if this was your business? Like, how would you approach it? Or instead of like thinking about the risk so much, how about like look more about the practicalities? Yes, like the risk is important, but like, is the structure maybe not too complicated? Because like not all companies should start out with like really complex constitutional documents about their company. So obviously founders also need to be like protected. It's something that many founders don't think about when they start a company with their co-founder, which most times is with a friend. What if like a friend, you and your friend get into a business partnership, and you do it on a whim because you really want to solve something, but you still need like an agreement between yourselves. Like, what if you get into a conflict and one of you wants to continue it and the other one doesn't, like, or both of you want to just like claim the company to yourself, like that's a problem. Like, there needs to be clear boundaries set, and I think that's something founders don't really think about, and it's something that they should. Like, it's a big thing.
And then on the opposite end, lawyers about founders, is there something you think they're missing in their knowledge or their understanding of what a founder actually needs?
I feel like lawyers try to overcomplicate a lot of things, and they try to ask questions that might not be great in the beginning, and they take their sweet time to do something for the founder instead of doing something quick, so that the founder can already like begin their journey. The founders can begin their journey with their company. Like sometimes all the founders need is something basic, like they need a company, they need a bank account, and then they can start, and then you can continue with like other agreements. So I think that lawyers should just I believe that they just need to learn how to speak to founders in a more casual way, and don't scare them away with like difficult questions.
Exactly. You're not trying to it's not a test. It's not a, you're not trying to get into Harvard with your conversation. You're trying to connect.
And also the cost is like a bit scary for the founders.
Exactly.
So there need to be like more like accessible packages for people who want to start their own business, because it's already hard enough when you don't have enough money and you want to do something by yourself. And then founders like always avoid the legal because they know that it's very expensive. So yeah.
And now for my final question. What is the future that you are building towards?
That's a good question that I think about maybe like 5 times a day. It always changes. I still want to be very heavily involved in legal tech. It's like something that I'm passionate about. But I still like want to build experience and expertise in corporate and commercial law and like private client law, because it's something that I enjoy. I enjoy speaking to clients. I enjoy advising them. I enjoy the learning process of the law, because there's so much AI can do to help you. It's not going to replace a lawyer at the end of the day, so lawyers still are needed. So I am trying to build more expertise in my field, and maybe one day with that experience I can build something that is meaningful again. So it remains to be seen, I guess.
Stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Violetta.
Thank you so much.
It was such a wonderful experience just to have you and to hear about your journey.
Thank you. It was lovely, honestly. Thank you for having me.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to seeing another startup coming your way. Maybe soon.
Maybe soon. Who knows?
Maybe a little bit down.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.